What's going on, guys? It is Leland Oakland, and just a disclaimer, last Saturday I didn't get a chance to go to locals and whatnot, and so I've just been playing on DB and Dueling Nexus, and the slight variation I made to the deck feels pretty good to the Sky Striker deck. Another thing I want to point out, this deck is teched for my locals, and I always say that if you're building a deck, you should build for the meta you're up against. Meaning that if you're, say for instance, your locals plays a lot of rogue stuff or a lot of lower end stuff, you're not really going to build your deck to handle decks like Cool Tunes, Doomsy, and whatnot. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there. So we're gonna go ahead and go through. We're gonna go through the deck. For the most part, it's relatively the same, with just some minor changes. So we are keeping the 3 rays and the 1 rose, the 3 engage, the Hornet drones, the 3 linkage, and the only brick in the deck, Lemnis Gate. Lemnis Gate is just such a good card that you'd be crazy not to play it. Like I said, not too much of a difference to it. I think honestly this is like probably my favorite way to play the deck. And so then of course we have our Radiant Typhoon package, which is just 1 Eldom, 1 Swin, 1 Chant. These cards are relatively cheap. I want to say the Swin is like $6 and the Chant was like $5 and Eldom's like $2. However, I will give you guys some options on what to swap this out for if you guys want. But yeah, so you run these, and then of course you play the 3 visions in the MST. The visions are very cheap with the MSG, so at the very least in the Radiant Typhoon package, I would say keep the visions with the MST. So, but these are optional. I personally like them just because they are additional starters for the deck. Now we are running some additional consistency cards within the deck just to kind of help us dig into our deck more and get some spells in the grave, which you guys should probably know. 3 upstarts and then 3 desires. I like playing the desires, I found, and then just also having the upstarts is really good. It's really filler. Game 1, you know, like going like if you lose the dice roll, it can be a little awkward. But you know, post side, you're usually going to side these 6 cards out at the very least. So I definitely like the consistency boost. All right, now we're going to go into the non-engine of the deck, just for cards that are just disruption. I just chose, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So yeah, I got 15 of them. We were playing closer to, we were playing 18 before, but of course I added the upstarts in. So we're playing the 3 Widow Anchor, really good. My favorite spell card, 3 Fallen and the Virtuous. Heard this is coming to Master Duel pretty soon. 3 Super Polys, double Eclipse, double Droplet, Called By, and Talents. Honestly, if you wanted to play more breakers, so here's the deal. If you didn't want to play Desires, just add another Eclipse and another Droplet. And if you didn't want to play the Radiant Typhoon package, I'd say just maybe you could run Ash, or you could run I mean, you could run Crowns, but we're trying to keep the deck budget, right? So as budget as we can. So this is a relatively cheap deck. Yeah, there's like the most expensive card in the deck is going to be Fallen and the Virtuous, which for a playset's like $20. So that's strictly up to you guys. So that's the non-engine. Just some things to take into account. You guys actually don't need to run these, and so if you wanted to add more like non-engine cards, so like I would say if you wanted to cut these, say you didn't want to play Desires, you could play the Reinforcements of the Army, a 3rd Book of Eclipse, and a 3rd Droplet if you wanted to, but that's strictly up to you. Right now we got the extra deck. The extra deck is definitely much different. Well, not much. I did change one thing, but again, I'm feeling pretty good about it. We are playing the 2 copies of Zero, 2 copies of Kagari. If I had the space, I'd play this at 3 of each of them at 3, but because we are playing Super Poly and Fallen of the Virtuous. I definitely think they're important. However, if you decided not to play Fallen in the Virtuous or not play Super Poly, you could cut the 2 targets for each for to add an additional one. So strictly up to you. Matsu and Camille. This is how we turn our Radiant Typhoon into our Sky Strikers. We've got Azalea and Zeke, Hayate and Shizuki. Sorry, guys. Got a lot of pollen in the air. Then for the Fallen of Virtuous, we're only running 2 targets, meaning that if you guys have an Ecclesia, you could cut the Albion for her, but if you don't, no worries. And if you're wondering why I'm only playing 2 copies, for one, the extra deck is really tight, and secondly, because we play Desires, there's a good chance that one of the Fallen and the Virtuous do get hit, and so yeah, there is that. So for our Super Poly targets, we got Mud Dragon and Garua. You know, that's pretty standard. And then we got Lunalight, Liger Dancer, Lunalight, Perfume Dancer. You will never summon her out, but that's because it's for a side deck card, which you guys can probably already, guys can probably already guess it. Shout out to Josh Schmidt, because that's where I seen how good it is. So, now we got the side deck, which I am playing the 1 Hamp. You know, with Lunalight being such a huge pain, this helps us tribute over the Liger Dancers. We are playing 3 copies of Thrust, just because going second, this card will always be live. Let's see. Try to move these around. Okay. Oops. And of course, we do have 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Oops. Evenly Matched. And then you play 1 Harpy and 1 Lightning Storm. That's pretty much it as far as the heavy going second cards. You know, there's a lot of, I mean, honestly, the 3 Evenlies are fine. You really don't need these, but I decided just to run them. But I guess if it came down to it, I could change. Like I am debating on cutting these from the deck. For maybe adding like Lancia or like 2 Fualos, something like that. So we'll see. But yeah, so as you can tell, those are a lot of our blowout going second cards. And what I do like about Evenly Matched is if your opponent hits you with double Liger Dancer, they're forced to send 1 to the to banish 1, and then you can use Hamp to get rid of the other one. So really good. But of course, that wasn't enough for me. So much so that I decided that I'm playing 3 copies of Ultimate Slayer. And this is just because you send Perfume Dancer to the grave, you banish her and use her effect, and Liger Dancer is unaffected by non-Lunalight cards, and so it would lose attack equal to its defense. So it has 3,800 attack, so it would lose 3,500. Now, assuming that they play it in defense mode, it won't do us any good, but, you know, who plays Lunalight and Liger Dancer in defense mode? Maybe maybe post-side game 1 or game 2, they'll do that, but for the most part, you know, you got Evenly and you got Hamp, so you do have that. And as I sort of spoiled, for our going first, we got DDG, Flame, and Solemn. Real simple, real nice stuff. So I'm gonna go through the siding patterns with you guys. So post side going second, I like to side these out because they don't really offer anything going second. Yeah, I mean, and it's, you know, it's real simple. You know, you side in your 3 Thrust and your 3 Evenlies. Real simple. There are some games, so like if you're going second up against like Malice, what I'd say is just side these 2 out because their link monsters can't go to defense, and so you can just add like this and this in if you wanted to. But these could be like Lancia, so there is that. But yeah, so like link decks or even the mirror, you would definitely side these out for sure. Let's see. And that's just, you know, going second, so it's, you know, it's strictly up to you guys how you would want to side it and what you're building your side. Since Lunalight and Malice are pretty big at my locals, I wanted to be able to have something that I could use to counter them. Post side going first, again, you would honestly just side out these guys. So you're always pretty much going to just side out your guys right here. Let me see. Yeah, so you're always gonna side these 6 out, unless of course no, you would definitely just side them out. And for going first, of course, you got these guys right here. Of course, oh, not that. Then you got the thrust. But I will say this: that if for whatever reason, you're going to be going against Lunalite, I would probably say, and some may argue with this, is I would probably side out 1 super poly, and you could set in 1 fallen of the virtuous, and then that way you add Hamp and you add 1 copy of Ultimate Slayer just as a thrust target. So because you only have 2 super poly targets and only have 2 fallen the virtuous targets, so it's not like, oh, you're gonna be you're like, yeah, you're not gonna see him as much, but it allows space for other stuff. And I've considered like main decking evenly and thrust just for the sake of if I'm forced to go second. But ideally, you want to build your deck to kind of do what it like go first or second, and so that's where I'm at. So I wanted to make sure that my deck is really good going first. And I do think that the Ultimate Slayer package, I think that's gonna catch a lot of people off guard and whatnot. But again, there are other cards you could run in the side deck. Like you could run other thrust targets. You could run like the Solemn Accusation. Well, that's not really searchable. You could run a copy of Impulse. So there's all kinds of things. But I felt that this deck struggles the most going second, and so I just decided to run these, which I'm debating putting that into turning that into Raigeki. But it's like you have 2 Harpy's Feather Dusters. So again, or like you could cut this and go for like Dark Ruler no more. But again, it's strictly up to you on how you guys want to do that. But yeah, these are sort of our filler cards. This is great because like it does help, and there will be some games like, okay, I need to see my cards. Each match will, it's like it is very matchup dependent. And what you could do, and this is just me, if you wanted to change like the side deck a bit, you could add some extra deck monsters to your deck. So like you could add the third Zero and third Kagari in the side. You'd probably cut those 2 and side out, like say you sided out Garua and Mud Dragon, or the 2 All Beyond, and then you like sided out the 3 Fallen and the 3 Super Poly. Like that's fine. So the deck can do a ton of different things. A lot of people are like, oh, your extra deck is way too tight to be doing that, and it's less optimal, and it probably is less optimal. But that's what makes Lemnis Gate such a good card mid to late game, because it lets you recycle. And again, the idea is that you want to end duels as quickly as possible. That's sort of where I stand, and I think this does really well. And because beforehand with this build, I was citing out my Radiant Typhoon stuff, and while I can justify that, because it's like, hey, they weren't as good going second, unless like my opponent bricked. But I felt that overall, I wanted my deck to have the best chances going first. And what you could do, if you wanted to, you don't even have to run like these particular cards, these guys. You could run more, you could add more like quick play breakers, like a third Eclipse, a third Droplet. So like there's a variety of things. And like I said, this deck is very budget, with Fallen and the Virtuous being like the most expensive thing. And so some things I kind of want to go through. I would honestly keep the Sky Striker stuff the same. I wouldn't change anything. But there are those of you that may say, hey, I don't want to play the Radiant Typhoon package, even though it has gotten dropped down significantly in price. I'd say these are definitely important at the very least. So I would say that you could run cards like Rhoda. I would definitely put Rhoda in if I wasn't running this. Rhoda. And then you could add like Shark Cannon and Eagle Booster. You could run the third Book of Eclipse, the third Droplet. You could run things like that. Same thing if you wanted to cut like the desires, but I think that your deck needs to decide between what it wants to play, either this or this. Which I decided, hey, why not just play both? And that's just me personally, play less non-engine. And hopefully, my deck will be able to, like, I'm pretty good at pushing through boards for the most part, especially if I'm like, so one thing I like about desires is your opponent's gonna have to respond to it, right? Upstart, your opponent. And now look, if you get hit by droll, it just sucks. And you know, you just it's one of those things where you're just gonna have to pray that you have Called by the Grave up, right? And that is unfortunate. I mean, you will have talent. You may have talents in hand, but if you do get hit with droll, you could do Book of Eclipse, and your opponent won't draw anything. You got stuff to break boards. Following the Virtuous, you can just set the other copy that you search from off of Albion. So there is that. Radiant Typhoon Vision, that's a card that your opponent's going to either have to respond to or let it go through. You know, nobody likes to draw. Nobody likes their opponent drawing two, except for like the Molcharms for whatever reason. So, but yeah, so that's the deck. I feel pretty good about it. I've been playing a lot with it today, and yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I would certainly like to see what you guys are running in your decks, just to kind of get a feel for what my competition is. No, and like I said in the beginning, you want, when you're playing when you're building your decks, you want to build for what you're dueling against. Like, you know, most of you are like, oh, I'm building for Cool Tunes and the other top decks. Like, that's great, but if your locals doesn't have any of that, like, you know, what are you really preparing for? It's like, oh, Book of Eclipse is really good, but it's like, yeah, but if your locals plays basically mainly link-based decks, well then, hey, you know, Book of Eclipse isn't really a good card. Like, that's why I'm side decking Ultimate Slayer, because I know that Lunalight is such a pain for my deck. And I'm not running any hand traps. So if anybody says, oh, you need hand traps, no, you really don't. I mean, some decks do better with hand traps, but I do like this. It does really well with breaking boards. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and drop a comment below on what you guys think. And yeah, I will let you guys know how locals go. Bye.